Hey guys, how's it going? Yuri here. Hope you're having a great day. Today is Wednesday, so we're going to be talking about some workout strategies to help you during this flu season, because a lot of people have been asking me about should you work out while you're feeling sort of under the weather. So if you feel a cold coming on, or if you're surrounded by the flu, should you go to the gym and go crazy? Or should you go to the gym at all? Or if you do, what type of workout should you be doing? So I want to answer that in this video, and I think it's a really important question to understand because it definitely affects us for quite a long period of time, since the flu season is about 5 months of the year. So it's important to know this. So here's essentially the consensus in the literature of what happens with exercise and the immune system. We know that exercise over the lifespan improves immune function. Okay, so on average, over your life, your immune system will be benefited by regular exercise. However, if you're feeling under the weather and you go to the gym and then just go through a crazy interval session or a hardcore metabolic type of circuit training workout, that might not be that beneficial. And the reason for this is because after intense exercise, there's actually a study published in 1998 in the journal Acta Physiologica Scandinavica, which is basically a journal in Scandinavia, that showed that after intense exercise, there was a number of different findings in the bloodstream of individuals. And specifically, I'm just reading a couple notes here. They found the concentration of lymphocytes was suppressed. Okay, so lymphocytes are like your white blood cells, pretty much, and they are what are responsible for helping your immune system defend itself, defend your body against foreign invaders, bacteria, viruses, and so forth. Okay, so suppression of the immune system, so suppress natural immunity of blood lymphocytes. So you have different elements. You have a natural kind of innate immune system. You also have a lymphocytes antibody mediated system as well. Both of those symptoms were like shot down with intense exercise. Okay. There's also decreased concentration of IgA, which is an antibody in the mucous membranes, which is very important because there's been a lot of research showing that intense exercise increases your susceptibility to upper respiratory tract infections, okay, so sore throats and so forth. And that's one of the reasons, is because IgA is an antibody that lines itself in and around your throats and airways. And with intense exercise, if we lessen that barrier, then we are more susceptible to bacterial and viral infections in those areas. Interesting stuff. So we see this decrease in antibody, natural immunity, and basically overall defense against foreign invaders with intense exercise. Now, there's also something that does increase with intense exercise, and that is inflammation in the body. And inflammation in the body is measured by a number of different ways, a number of different factors. We look at cytokines like interleukin-6, prostaglandin-2, different markers like that. And the consensus, again, in the research is that in addition to decreasing and suppressing the immune system, intense exercise also increases levels of inflammation. And that's one of the reasons why we get delayed onset muscle soreness, right? We get this inflammation at the muscular level due to different cellular mechanisms that are happening and the ripping apart of our muscles and so forth. So, considering this, does it make sense to exercise when you're feeling under the weather? Just to give you a little bit more meat behind this, British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2000 did a huge review of the literature on this topic, and they found, and I'm going to quote this, moderate exercise across the lifespan seems to increase resistance to upper respiratory tract infections, whereas repeated strenuous exercise suppresses immune function. Okay, so that is essentially what you need to understand about this, and in addition to the fact that inflammation in the body is also going to increase following intense strenuous exercise. So yes, I'm a huge believer of intense workouts, interval training, but again, as intensity increases, volume has to decrease, okay? And that also means frequency should decrease as well. You shouldn't be going crazy 7 days a week, and that's why a lot of the programs like P90X and Insanity, as great as they are also a little bit dangerous, especially at this time of year, because they're hardcore 6-7 days a week. It's too much for the immune system and the adrenal glands. So if you're feeling under the weather, you may not want to go crazy at the gym, because most likely what that's going to do is that's going to wear you down. And I'm sure you've gone through moments in your life where you've experienced this, and this happened to me probably a couple weeks ago. Obviously it's flu season here in Canada, and I remember going to the gym for a pretty hard workout. I came back afterwards and I was pretty tired, more tired than usual. Actually, I'll give you my workout. All I did was 10 minutes. I did 1 minute of rowing, 1 minute of kettlebell swings, 5 times back and forth. Okay, so I was pretty much going as fast and as powerful as I could for 10 minutes. That's it. That's all I did. I had a tough time finishing that. So what that says to me is that I was probably fighting something more because I was a little bit more tired than normal during the workout, during the 10-minute workout, remember. And I was also pretty exhausted afterwards. So what should you do instead of a strenuous, hardcore workout during this time of year? Well, it's not to say that you can't do those type of workouts. You definitely can. If you're feeling fine and healthy, go for it. But if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, what I would suggest is do something like yoga. Okay? Do some light bodyweight exercises, do some dynamic stretching, do some movements that are going to help you feel more limber, help you feel better. Okay? If you have access to a health club, you may want to do things like steam rooms, hot saunas to just kind of sweat out some of the toxins and whatever your body's fighting, and that'll also help. It actually makes you feel better because remember, like we have 365 days in a year. Okay, whether you're looking to lose weight or gain muscle, you're not going to be training the same way all the time. You're going to have to go through peaks and troughs, and sometimes it's actually better to really lessen the load, or really lessen the volume of what you're doing, and allow your body to recover. Another thing I can talk about from experience with men's soccer at the University of Toronto is that during about I would say October, about half the team ends up getting sick. Okay, one guy gets sick, then the next guy gets sick, and then it just it perpetuates. So why does this happen? Well, in addition to most guys on the team not eating very well, thankfully they've improved that with my suggestions, but still they're college students, so they have their fast food tendencies. So in conjunction with eating poorly and training 6 days a week, or 4 to 5 days a week plus 2 games, right? I'm sure you can see what would happen. Okay, poor diet, strenuous exercise, high volume, you're wearing your body down. Okay, and that's why a lot of guys, a lot of athletes tend to get sick, and that's why it's very important as an athlete, whether you're part of a team or if you work out on your own, you need to eat a healthy diet. Now, along that note, I also want to mention one more study, which was published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition in 2004, which is really interesting, actually. It looked at the difference between 3 groups, looking at whether fat content in the diet would make a difference on immune response based on intense exercise or post-exercise inflammation and immune response. So what they did is they had one group reduce their fat intake to 19%, and obviously as a result they dropped their calories, right? Because fat is about 9 calories per gram, so it's quite a substantial amount. The next group was 30% of calories from fat, and the final group was 50% of calories from fat. So some very, very interesting findings, and I'm actually going to quote the conclusion from the authors here. And they say the results from the present study suggest that post-exercise inflammatory response may be reduced by selecting a diet that provides sufficient caloric intake to match with the energy requirement and has a composition of at least 30% fat. In addition, if caloric balance is maintained, increasing fat intake up to 50% may not be harmful to immune status in healthy, sedentary, and athletic individuals. Okay, so interesting stuff. What they found here was that the lowest level of intake of fat actually led to greater immune suppression and inflammation post-exercise. They found that at a minimum of 30% daily fat intake, that was when your immune system is healthiest. And why is that? Well, the immune system is greatly supported by fats in your diet. And there's been some research that shows that as omega-3s. This specific study that I just mentioned doesn't really show much difference between saturated or monounsaturated fats or omega-3s. What they looked at is the total fat percentage and total caloric intake. So essentially the message here is that if you maintain adequate calories with at least 30% fat, you are going to assist your immune system in staying healthy during strenuous activity. And that's very important, especially during cold and flu season. Okay? So if you're worried about things like fish oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds, don't be. Okay? They're not going to make you fat. Obviously, in moderation, you don't want to go crazy with them. I wouldn't necessarily suggest 50% of your daily intake from fat, but omega-3s specifically, monounsaturated fats, and even saturated fat from coconut oil are very, very healthy fats to help support your immune system, reduce inflammation in the body, and support all other levels of your health. So So there we go. So that is our Wednesday workout video. Hopefully this has helped you out and give you some more insight as to what not to do during cold and flu season with your workouts and what you can do. So just let me recap what you should do if you're feeling under the weather and you still want to work out. Do some light bodyweight exercises, some yoga, some stretching, maybe some light cardio if you want to, some light interval training, but it should not be crazy, crazy intense, okay? If you go crazy intense, you will break your body down, at least while you're not feeling too well, all right? So hopefully that answers that question. If you've got any more questions, be sure to join me on Facebook. You know where to get me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.